in your handout, the next blurb on page 124, about halfway down, says Pacific Trails Resort Case Study. So remember, that's the one that we worked on together in class. We did that one, and then your homework, Java Jam, is very similar. We're going to work through parts of this. I did not teach you everything that this chapter actually covered, so there are parts in this that we're going to skip. So pay attention, because we're going to skip them here, and you're going to skip them when you get to the homework part. So everybody should open, go back to wherever you have your Pacific Trails folder. Mine's on the desktop. Yours might be on a jump drive. And in your Pacific Trails, folder, you should have two files, index and yurts. So we already have those created. We're going to pop over to the next page, page 125. It's kind of walking you through it to build a new folder each time. We are not doing that. So turn to page 125, task 2. We're going to make an external style sheet. So we're going to make a CSS sheet for this. So I'm going to cancel out. We don't need to open anything. I just wanted to make sure that we could get to our Pacific folder and it had two files. So in a blank thing in Notepad, let's do we're going to make an external sheet named pacific.css. So let's start with a file, save as, and let's call it Pacific CSS, but let's make sure that it's in our Pacific folder. So Pacific.css inside the Pacific folder with the index and yurt page. That's critical. If they're not all in the same folder, this will not work. And then click Save. So they're not going to tell you quite as literally as they do in the directions in the handout what to do. So we need to do a little bit of thinking. So it says, code the CSS to configure the following. Global styles for the document. It says use the body element selector. So that's the first thing, is body. And then curly brace. And what they want is a background color of white and a text color of dark gray. And they give you the actual hex codes. So background color, colon, and then we're going to use that hex code, 4033. Nope, totally off. Background color is white, Fs, all Fs, my bad. Hashtag FF, semicolon. And then the color that they want for the actual text is hashtag all sixes. So 6 sixes. All right, if you remember, I'm going to do a file open, and I'm going to open our index page just to refresh our memory. First of all, this is what it looks like. And what we have coded in here in our body section that we actually see, we have a special container called a header. And now we're going to be able to decorate or stylize the header. We have a section called nav. We have a section called main. We also have divs, and in the part of the chapter that I skipped, we talked about classes and IDs, and I thought that was too deep for the purpose of you guys. So we would have identified, would have put a label to this div and called it something else and stylized it too, but we're kind of skipping that. But we do have header, nav, main, and footer to decorate, if you will, with our styles. So the next step down says configure style rules for the header element selector. So then we say, all right, our next rule is for the header. And the rules that we're going to apply are a background color and a text color again. And in the header, our background color is 4 zeros and 3s, 000033. And color or text color for the header is white or all Fs. So far we have 2 rules. Then They tell us to stylize the nav element selector, so anything inside our nav tags. So we're going to start with nav. And we want that to be a sky blue background color. So, and they give us a specific hex code again of 90C7E3, semicolon. Then they want us to do a style or a rule for all the heading 2s. So we type in H2, and they want text color of medium blue and a specific hex code. So color is hashtag 3399cc. Then remember, on one of our pages we have a definition list, and we have definition terms and the actual definition. The next style that they want us is anything that is a DT, or a definition term. We want to be stylized with a certain text color as well. So color is 000033, semicolon. And then that last one, a style for a class name resort, we're skipping that. We did not learn about classes and IDs. So this is our Pacific CSS. Make sure you save it. When you look at it, your selectors should be a bright blue. All of the terms in here should be kind of a purplish blue if you spelled them correctly. They all should end with a colon, and then the actual rule ends with a semicolon. So your page should look like this. And then what we need to do is go to our index page. So do a file, open, and navigate to your Pacific Trails website folder, and open the index page. And this is what it looks like. We don't have any style embedded. We don't have any inline styles. We want it to know that there's an external style sheet. So up in the head section where we have the title and the meta character set is where we need to add that extra line telling it that there's an external style sheet. So link rel equals, and then in quotes, style sheet. It's going to look for a style sheet so it knows it's a CSS file. And then href, what it really is looking for, the name of the file, is pacific.css end quote end caret. And that's what it did for us. Put our header 1 in a certain background, white type. It put header 2 in a light blue type. It put our navigation on a blue background, and that's all it really did. We only targeted header, nav, H1, and DT. And on this page, there isn't a definition list on our first page. That comes into play on subsequent pages. All right, so we've made our first page work. Now do a file, open, and go grab the yurts page. That's the second page in our website. And the yurts up in the head section does not mention any sort of a style sheet. We need to tell that there's a style sheet as well. So that same line of code from your index page, for me it was line 6. This line of code right here, you want to copy, Control-C, go to your yurts page, and include it there as well, so that the yurts page also uses that CSS page. And from there, you should be able to go back and forth between yurts and the home page. On the yurts page, we told the DTs to have a slightly different color than everything else on the page. It looks black, but it's not pure black. if we had told in our CSS, if we had told the DT to be, I'll just show you an example, red, it would have made all of those definition terms red instead of the hex code number that we really are using. So, because this is wrapped in DT tags, it gets stylized according to the rules that we gave it in our style sheet. All right, so in this handout, we just went through and did Pacific Trails as a practice. When you get to the parts on Java Jam, let's just look through this and make sure that we're doing the right things. So on page 127, it talks about creating a new folder. You don't have to do that. You already have a folder called Java Jam, so that's not necessary. In general, this is what you're going to do. It's not directions of what to do next, but what we are going to do eventually is make an external style sheet named Java Jam CSS, and then we're going to update the home and the menu page. Okay, good. So task 1, create a folder. Nope, just use your existing Java Jam folder, and you're going to have two files inside it, index and menu. That's fine. So jump straight to task 2. This is the first one you're actually going to do. Launch the text editor, and you're going to create an external style sheet named javajam.css. Make sure it is saved in your Java Jam folder. And then you're going to configure it to do the following. Global styles, a style for the header, and a style for the footer. So 3 rules in your CSS sheet. That's it. You're going to save it, and I'm going to show you the validator in just a second if you want to validate it. Then they want you to go to the home page, and task 3A is associate that CSS file with it. So up in the head section, you need to add the link that tells it that there's a style sheet and what it's called. So make sure you do that. B, do not do. We did not talk about IDs or anything like that, so skip B completely. All right, then they want you to go to the menu page and add the link again up in the head section. So you're going to make sure that the menu page links to the CSS. And for part B, ignore that as well. It talks about configuring the content div. We didn't create IDs or classes, so letter B is a no-go. Cross that out. So basically, for Java Jam Coffee, you're making an external style sheet with 3 rules, and you're linking those 2 pages to it. That's it. Okay? That's easy enough. Now, let's pop back, and I want to share with you the CSS validator. So we talked about having that HTML validator that you could use. There's also one for CSS. And if you forget the URL, you can just type in any search bar, CSS validator. And this one that starts with Jigsaw is the one that you want to use. It's the same company that we did our HTML validator. And it works the same way. We can upload a file, which is what we're going to do. Or if the website already existed, you could upload the URL. So if we want to test a file, we can click here, choose our file, and I'm going to check the Pacific Trails CSS that we just did, and say check. Yay, no errors found. So I'm done. If you're having problems and you can't figure it out, upload your file to this validator, and it might say, like, line 3. It's going to be hard to understand, but just look at the basics. If it says line 3, expecting a close tag or something like that, you probably forgot to close out a tag, or you did, but you forgot the backslash, or you did, but you forgot the closing caret, something little, or you did, but it was a typo, you spelled body wrong, something like that. So CSS validator, HTML validator, both are on this site and both work fantastic. So I would encourage you to use that. So in summary, we learned a little bit about style sheets in general, CSS style. Hopefully everybody feels pretty comfortable with where we are at this point.